Hi, welcome to today's training session. Today's training is for asset accounting lean implementation. Asset accounting, as you know, is a submodule of SAP FI module which manages a company's fixed assets right from acquisition to retirement or scrapping and even depreciation of assets both automatically and manually irrespective of the industry and country. All accounting transactions relating to depreciation, insurance, etc. of assets are taken care through this module of asset accounting. And all the accounting information from this module flows to FI/GL submodule on a real-time basis. So moving on to asset accounting lean implementation, we will be covering the above table of content. First, introduction to lean implementation, and then the configuration steps, which has been divided into 4 parts. One is organizational structure, spatial valuation, asset data transfer, preparing for production startup, and unit testing. So let's move on first to the introduction to lean implementation. Lean implementation, one can opt for either lean implementation or a regular implementation depending upon the kind of requirements, which we will just discuss it in a while. Lean implementation comes with minimal configuration for asset accounting, and lean implementation suits small companies which has got small asset size in their organization. So while configuring the custom setting in the system for asset accounting, you can opt for either lean implementation or a regular implementation. It's vary from organizations to organization. Lean implementation is scaled down version of the regular asset accounting configuration in SAP system with minimum, or you can say minimal, configuration required to enable the asset accounting. So lean implementation basically has got the minimum configuration requirement which is required are been taken up in the lean implementation part. This is suitable for small companies with relatively small number of assets using standard functionalities of asset accounting in SAP system, and also in situations where the asset accounting is not that large and or that not that huge as in many of the MNC companies. This reduces the configuration is based on basic functions generally required for asset accounting. So lean implementation basically in a nutshell can say that is more suitable for small companies with smaller number of assets with them, and in lean implementation you got minimum configuration required so as to get asset accounting implemented. But now one has to understand that how you can distinguish between where to go for a regular implementation of asset accounting and where to go for a lean implementation. So one is very simple thing is that the asset size is small, but apart from that there are certain things which needs to be taken care, because there are certain things which cannot be taken up in lean implementation. As said, it has got the minimum configurations. So one should use regular implementation if you have got the following requirements. First, you want to depreciate in foreign currencies. In case you have asset groups to be created, you need to define your own depreciation keys, transaction types, and various other reports. And the fourth, require group consolidation. So these are certain parameters where lean implementation cannot be done. It can only be done through a regular implementation. So this is just to give an overview. So we'll be moving up ahead and we'll see how a lean implementation is done with what are the various minimum configurations required for it. So moving next is, as said, that the configuration steps are divided into four parts. One is organizational structures, then spatial valuation, asset data transfer, preparing for valuation, for production startup. So we'll go each of these steps one by one. Each of these are different topics which consist of number of different customizing steps within it. So we'll be moving first to the organizational structure. So moving on to the organizational structure, on the screen it shows you all the different configuration steps in organizational structure. So if we talk about the organizational structure, in organizational structure we define the features of asset accounting organizational objects like chart of depreciation, the FI company code, what will be the different asset classes to be created. All assets in the system have to be assigned to these organizational objects as mentioned. So whatever the assets you want to create, ultimately those needs to be assigned to your objects like chart of depreciation, company code, and asset classes. Without that, these assets will not work. So in this way it represents your organizational structure that are relevant to asset accounting in the system, and you can classify your asset accounting to assets according to the asset accounting criteria. So if we talk about each of these steps as on the screen to you, let's see the same steps on the SAP system. So moving on to the SAP screen, we need to go to execute the transaction SP arrow, enter, click on SAP reference IMG, that is the implementation guide. And now in this we need to go to financial accounting new, and within it we need to go to asset accounting expand, and in this you can see that the first option is lean implementation. So this first option which is coming up to you is the lean implementation, which has got the minimum configuration steps required for small companies. However, apart from that, the others on the screen to you are a part of regular implementation of asset accounting. So we'll discuss about lean implementation only for in this training session now. Now expanding the lean implementation part, as you can see, has been divided into four parts as said, four topics. Now moving on to organizational structure as mentioned on the presentation file. So these are the steps on the screen to you, and the same steps are there on the SAP system which we will be going through. So first is copy reference chart of depreciation or the depreciation area. Second, assign chart of depreciation to company code, and then depreciation area, asset accounting. This has got its own subparts as well, which we'll be discussing when we'll be reaching to these steps. Assign GL account, specify interval and posting rules, then assign input text indicator, and then specify financial statement. So we'll move to the first part as per the presentation file. The first configuration or the customization step is copy reference chart of depreciation, or you can say depreciation area. So before moving to it, we need to understand what is this chart of depreciation all about. A chart of depreciation basically contains a list of country specific depreciation areas. The chart of depreciation is a list of depreciation areas arranged according to the business and the legal requirement. The chart of depreciation enables you to manage all the rules for valuation of assets in a particular country. Chart of account can be global, country specific, and industry specific based on the needs of the business. Whereas if you talk about chart of depreciation is only country specific. So there's a small difference. The chart of account is a global one, it can be used across the industry, across the country, but whereas chart of depreciation is specific to country. So the chart of depreciation are independent to each other. So one chart of depreciation will be independent to the other chart of depreciation. Now if we talk about in SAP system chart of depreciation, if we move on to SAP screen, as you can see over here, the first step, copy reference chart of depreciation, we can go and we can execute this step. So we'll move to that in a while. You can click onto it and it will show you these three options. First is copy reference chart of depreciation, second is a specific description of chart of depreciation, and third, copy delete depreciation area. So we need to go to the first step first and we need to double click onto that. So if we double click on to copy reference chart of depreciation, the system will take you to the next screen and you can see the screen is blank, but there are only certain options over here onto you. So what we need to do over here in these cases is we need to go to this copy organizational object. So you need to click onto this copy option, and as you click on to copy, the system will generate a pop-up screen for you. So it says copy from chart of account to chart of account. So if you go to from chart of account and you click on to this particular symbol on the sideline, it will give you the list of the chart of account. So you can see over here SAP comes supplied with default chart of depreciation that are based on the requirements of each country. These default chart of depreciation also serve as a reference chart from which you can create a new chart of depreciation by copying one of the relevant charts. So you can see on the screen these are the different chart of depreciation provided by a standard as a default by the standard SAP system as per different country to country specific as per their own legal requirements in their particular countries. So whatever the relevant country you are going to implement this asset accounting, you can select that particular sample chart of account and you can copy that and create of your own. Like for example, I select it for India, so I take it sample chart of account India, which is 0IN, enter. So you can see it has been selected, and once you have copied, you need to go to the two chart of account, and in this we need to give a 4-digit or 3-digit, whatever, maximum is 4-digit code, chart of depreciation code. So suppose I give it as 2000 2000. Once you have taken this, now we can go and we can enter on the screen or click on to continue. So once I click on to continue, the system will give you a message, transport number ranges and addresses. We need to click on to continue or enter, and now it will take you to the next screen. Alright, do you really want to transport number range? No, because number range are to be created in a new client. Okay, continue. So now you can see that the chart of depreciation, the sample one which we had taken, and with that we copied it to our own chart of depreciation 2000 has been copied. So once you have copied this, after copying you may now going to continue it. Alright, so this screen will come up to you once you have copied the chart of depreciation and created your own. Now moving up to the next is, so we had created our chart of depreciation 2000. Now we need to go back. So we have done with the first step. Now moving up to the second step is specify description of chart of depreciation. So we need to click on to the second option, double click on it. So as I double click on to specify description for chart of depreciation, the system will take you to the next screen, and as you can see, this is the chart of depreciation which we have created. Here you can change your description as per your requirement. So you can go over here and you can change the description. Suppose I change the description to chart of depreciation 2000, or you can let it be as India, as you wish, up to your requirement. Suppose I give it as 2000. So this is the chart of depreciation which I have created. With the second step, we just have given a proper description to it, and then we can save the screen. So continue. So this is what the second step has been created. Now moving back. So the first two steps we have done with. Now moving to the third step is copy, delete, depreciation area. Now double click onto that, and as you will double click onto copy, delete, depreciation areas, system will ask you for the chart of depreciation. So you need to select your own chart of depreciation, or you can give the code of chart of depreciation which you had defined just now, 2000, enter. So as I did, it took you to the next screen, and you can see these are the different depreciation areas which has been copied from the sample chart of depreciation of India. So these are certain things which are required. Some are required out of these. So one of them is book depreciation, next is depreciation as per Income Tax Act, then next is cost center. So out of these different areas, whatever is required, you can have that, and the rest we can select and we can delete, which are not required to us in our chart of account 2000. So now we can decide. Suppose I don't need the cost account depreciation, I don't need consolidated one, I don't need these rest of the part. So these all what I have selected, I don't need these. I only need is 1, 15 and 31. That's it. So what I can do is I can select the remaining parts, and then we can go and click onto this delete symbol over here. So once you click on to delete, these rest of the depreciation areas have been deleted. So now the chart of account 2000 has got 3 depreciation areas, 1, 15 and 31. So this is how we can save this, and you can see the 30 manages values and parameter, no problem. Continue. Okay, save the screen now. So now you can see the message has been generated, will be deleted and all, and then you can continue it, and this will be saved to the request. So this is how you can see the data was saved, the message has been generated to you on the footnote. So this is how these are the 4 different depreciation area which we had taken up, and now we can go back. So these are the 3 different sub steps within the first configuration step that we have covered. Now moving ahead, several company codes can work with the same chart of depreciation, though a company code is assigned to one specific chart of depreciation. One must have one chart of depreciation for all the company codes when all of your different company codes have got few of the characteristics as a similar one. Like, first is to operate in the same country, second to operate in the countries but in the same industry, third operate in different countries but with the same rules of asset valuations. So if you've got these 3 things, you need to have the same chart of depreciation for all the company codes. So just to have a further more understanding of this chart of depreciation, as we have seen, a chart of depreciation is a collection of country specific depreciation areas. As we have seen, the chart of account, we are just looking up the difference between the chart of account and chart of depreciation. The chart of account is a list of GL account used in a company code. Chart of account contains chart of account area and the company code area, whereas on the contrary, chart of depreciation is always country specific. Usually you will not require more than one chart of account. SAP comes delivered with many country specific chart of depreciations as reference chart, as we have seen in a while back, which can be copied to create your own chart of depreciation, whereas the chart of account can be created from scratch as a new entry part. So this is all about the first step, that is copy reference chart of depreciation and depreciation areas. Now we'll be moving up to the second step, that is assign input tax indicators for non-taxable acquisition. So this is the second step which we need to do. So for that we need to go back again to the SPRO path. Now we can close this box and we can move to the next configuration step. So the next over here after copy reference chart of depreciation is assign input tax indicator for non-taxable acquisitions. So in this particular customization we specify an input tax indicator per company code. The system then uses this indicator when we post acquisitions that are not subject to tax but which are posted to accounts that are tax relevant. As a result, we need to assign 0% tax codes to this particular customization step. So for example, an acquisition of this type is an acquisition from in-house production. In asset accounting, posting transactions for this in-house acquisition, the input tax indicator is not ready for input. So what we do is we define a 0% input tax indicators over here. So moving on to this step, you can go to the company code, and in that you can define the tax codes as an input tax and output tax. One as V0 and another one as A0. So this is what you can take and you can assign it over here. So one is V0 we have taken and one is A0 which we need to assign. So we just need to take is we need to assign two tax codes. One is input tax code and another is output tax code with 0% of taxes, so that when we do any acquisitions or any retirement without tax code, the system does not restrict us for asking it for the tax codes as with reference to the GL account. So this is what just we need to do. We can go back and we can select to the save screen. Okay, enter and then select it. Okay, so you can see the data was saved. So that is what you are supposed to do. You need to assign these tax codes to the GL account. Now moving back, we are done with the second configuration step. So now moving to the third is assign chart of depreciation to company code. So in the third step, it's simple. The chart of depreciation which we had just defined 2000 in the first step, we just need to assign that to the company code in this particular step. So moving on to the SAP screen now. So to the company code 1200, now we will be assigning our own chart of depreciation, that is 2000, which we had just defined. And as you will assign it and enter on the screen, you will find the description will be assigned to it as well. So just we need to do is we need to assign the company code with the relevant chart of depreciation, and then we can go and we can click on to the save option. So click on to save and enter, and your changes has been done. So this is how we just need to assign it, so that the relationships can be set by in between the chart of depreciation to the company code. Now moving up to the next step is your depreciation areas, which consist of the sub config, that is specify allowed depreciation type for depreciation area, and define how depreciation areas post to general ledger account. So before moving on to depreciation area configuration, we need to understand what is depreciation area. The fixed assets are valued differently for different purposes. It could be due to the business reasons or due to the legal reasons, etc. SAP manages these different valuations by means of depreciation area. So if you remember in the first step third part, that is, we deleted certain depreciation areas from the number of different depreciation areas copied in the chart of account. We deleted some because they are not been required. With whatever the different depreciation area required, we just took that so that we can use those in our business as per the different valuation requirements. So we had book valuation, then income tax valuation, then consolidated requirement as per group currency and all. So the different valuations, accordingly the different depreciation areas are taken. So there are various depreciation areas such as book depreciation, tax depreciation, etc. A depreciation area decides how and for what purpose an asset is evaluated. The depreciation area can be real or a derived one. You may need to use several depreciation areas for a single asset, depending on the valuation and the reporting requirements. SAP comes delivered with many depreciation areas, as we have shown when we created the chart of depreciation, like 01, 15, 31, 35 for different purposes. But 01, that is the book depreciation, is the major one. That is one of the significant depreciation area which need to be used. The depreciation areas are denoted by a 2-character code in the system, as we just had seen a while back. So if you want to go back and you want to see that same thing, we can go to that. So if you go to this, you can find over here depreciation area. So you can see these are the different depreciation areas, and the maximum you can have a 2-digit depreciation area in the system. So the depreciation area contain the depreciation terms that are required to be entered in the asset master record or asset class. So if we go to the different steps of depreciation area, the first one, that is specify allowed depreciation types for depreciation areas. So this step is optional. We don't need this first step to be taken up. The first step basically specify which depreciation type and special valuations such as interest are allowed to your depreciation areas. So if you go and have a look at the first step, specify allowed depreciation type for depreciation area in the SAP system, we can go to this, back, close the box. So now we can go to the third step, depreciation area, over here, expand. You will find these 2 steps. So if you go and execute the first one, you can find these are the different depreciation areas for different requirements. So the chart of depreciation 2000, which we just created, now we need to assign these different parameters to it. So if you go to the first one, double click on that, so you can see these are the different depreciation areas which we created and the rest we deleted. So these are applicable for ordinary depreciation, which has been checkbox has been marked. So now, do you want these to be applicable for a special depreciation as well? So these are not marked as of now for special depreciation. So if you need, you can select those for a special depreciation as well. And in those cases, special depreciation will also be charged to these depreciation areas as well. So once you have taken this, you can save this, enter, and now we can go back. Similarly, you can go to these rest of these and you can double click and you can decide whether those particular depreciation or those particular part has to be included in the depreciation area or not. So what is more important is the first three: ordinary depreciation, special depreciation, and unplanned depreciation. So we can go to the unplanned depreciation, double click on that, and you can see these are already selected on the screen to you. So that's it. We can go back, and that is it. So what is actually, as a genuine part, what options should be included in the depreciation area are by default has been taken up, but in case anything is left and you want that to be included, you can check and you can include that in the depreciation area. So that is the first step. Moving on to the next is define how depreciation areas post to general ledger. Under this, we don't do anything in it. It is basically to decide how the postings will be done to the general ledger account. In this, we specify the depreciation areas that post their APC transaction, or you can say the depreciation values, to the general ledger account. So if you remember, there were a couple of depreciation areas: one book value, 15 for income tax, then for 30 for consolidation and all. So out of those, which depreciation value will post actually to the general ledger account, that is decided by this particular customization step. So if you go to this particular step and execute it, so you will see now that all the different depreciation areas will be reflected to you. So now as you will click onto this, it will ask you for the chart of depreciation. So you need to put your chart of depreciation over here in it. So you can search for it with the F4 function 4 key from the keyboard, or you can click onto the symbol and it will give you all the search or the different chart of account available. So the one which we had defined was 2000, so that is what we have selected. Enter, and it will take you to the next screen. So these were the 4 different depreciation areas which we defined, and the rest we had deleted, if you remember, in the very first step. So out of these 4 now, which is the real depreciation area which will post the value to the general ledger account? So the system can post the APC transaction of one depreciation area to the general ledger account only automatically. So out of these 4, only one can be used for posting their value to the general ledger account automatically by the system. Usually it is the book depreciation, that is depreciation area 1, which posts the values to the general ledger accounts automatically. As we do the postings in the asset, it automatically takes the impact to the general ledger account. So we can post transactions from other depreciation area to the general ledger automatically as well, but for that you need to do the customization over here. So you can see in front the last option, the last column, GL. In that you will find 1 0. So 1 basically refers to the GL account. So if you go and see the values in this, let me take the list. So you can find over here now that there are certain values which need to be assigned over here in this. 1 basically refers to area post in real time. So if you want automatically values should be posted to the GL account, you need to select 1. And in case you don't want any other depreciation areas to impact the GL account, but just it can be taken up only in the asset accounting part, for that you need to select 0. Similarly, there are different variables created. 2 is for area post APC, 3 is for area post depreciation only. So what is used is 0 and 1 basically. 1 is GL variant 1 is used so as to post the depreciation or the APC transaction values to the GL account directly. Normally, as a standard practice, book depreciation, that is depreciation area 1, is used for posting the values to the GL account. So we'll not be changing anything in it. This is the standard procedure, the standard process which is followed, and the same we will be following up. So the standard depreciation area in the SAP reference chart of depreciation as set up is 1 depreciation area 1, that is book depreciation, so as to post the APC transactions automatically to the general ledger online. It posts basically the depreciation automatically to the general ledger account using batch from the background and impacts to your ledgers. So this is what, just to know that how the postings are done automatically from the asset accounting to the GL account in the SAP FI module. So this is all about how depreciation is been posted to the GL account. So that is all about it. We will not be doing any changes to it. This is just to give you an overview how the values flows from the chart of depreciation to GL account. So that is it. You can go back. So we can go back to the previous path. So this is all about in the depreciation area part, the first and the second sub options which we have gone through. Now we can move to the next, that is asset class. Within asset classes there are three options. One is generate asset classes from GL accounts, second is copy asset class from reference, and third is enter default values in asset classes. So we'll go to this one by one. Before that, let's understand what is asset classes. So an asset class in SAP is the basis for classifying an asset based on business and legal requirements. It is essentially a group of assets having certain common characteristics. Each asset in the system needs to be associated with an asset class so as to categorize their particular grouping of assets. An asset class is the most important configuration element, and this is the asset class which decides the type of assets, like such as land or plant and machinery or furniture and fixtures, or maybe for equipment or any other assets for that matter. So the grouping of these different assets is done only by asset classes. That's why asset class has a very significant role in asset accounting. And with the help of asset class only, the system decides the number range for the asset documents, for the asset transactions, and the data entry, screen layout for asset master creation. So whatever the different asset masters created, their screen layouts are also dependent on the asset class. Then the GL account assignment, how the GL will be impacted, for which asset class or the assets which GL has to be impacted, and which depreciation and what depreciation terms needs to be followed. These all things revolve around asset class. So asset class is the one which decides your characteristics, and then it decides the group of asset it will be. It decides your depreciation terms, the percentages of depreciations to be charged, then the GL assignment, to which GL the value will flow to, the screen layouts and all. So that's why the asset classes has got a very significant role in the asset accounting. So an asset accounting is defined at the client level. It's not at the company code level, and is available to all the company codes of that client. So if you want, you can use the same asset class across all the company codes, or even if you want, you can use the same asset class for a single company code as well. So it is available for all at the client. The number of different asset class can be like building can be one of the asset class, where the different buildings related characteristics related to building will be grouped in the building asset class. Similarly, there could be plant and machinery. All the machineries and plants, small plant, large plants, will be grouped, and the asset group name is termed as the asset class, that's plant and machinery. So similarly, there could be asset under construction, which is known as AUC assets. So again, if there is any kind of an asset which is not finished, which is under construction due to some reasons, maybe it has been purchased but there's some work need to be done, those are classified under asset under construction asset class. So these are the different groups which is defined with the help of asset classes. So asset class is basically the link between the asset master data and their relevant accounts in the GL accounting. So the account determination in the asset account enables you to post to the relevant GL accounts. So we'll see that once we'll move to the further steps, how the asset classes have got a significant role and how everywhere the asset class needs to be linked with things so as to get the values flown to the other part. So moving up to the next, under asset classes there are three steps as said. First is generate asset classes from GL accounts, second is copy asset classes from reference, and third, enter default values in asset classes. So moving on to the SAP screen about the different customizations to be done with respect to the asset classes. The steps are the same, the path is the same. We need to go to asset accounting, then asset accounting lean implementation, and within lean implementation you will find organizational structure. That is the first topic we are covering within lean implementation, and in that you will find below to depreciation areas asset classes. We need to expand this asset class and you will find number of options. So out of these, all are not relevant. We will be doing what is the relevant fields which we need to do. So the relevant one, as mentioned on the presentation file, is the first one is to generate asset classes from GL accounts. So let's see how this first step can be taken up. So under the first step, under the asset class, the first configure step, in this step we generate the asset classes, account determinations, screen layouts, the number range for assignment of asset numbers which will be created. So these are different objects that needs to be generated. These objects are generated in a one-to-one relationship to your asset balance sheet accounts. The system enters the account determination, the screen layout rules, and the number ranges in the asset class as control parameters. So within the asset class we need to assign account determination, screen layout, and the number range. Account determination basically determines the GL account to which that particular asset class will be linked to, so as to get the posting to the relevant GL account. Whereas the screen layout rules, it decides your screen layout while creating the asset master, what fields to be reflected on the screen, what fields needs to be suppressed, needs to be required, or needs to be hidden as not relevant. So as per requirement, the screen layout rules are defined for asset masters, and the number ranges decides the different asset master data number. So the number range needs to be defined while creating the asset class. So let's see how that can be done. So we can go and we can execute the first step, and as we click on to this execute, it will take you to the next screen. So as you can see, this is the screen which has been generated when we clicked on to generate asset classes from GL accounts one-to-one. So you can see the number of options are there. The screen which is been reflecting to you is to create asset classes from accounts. You can read the notes over here in this wizard, which will help you to give some view as we discussed already. So what it does, it automatically the asset classes are created with respect to the GL accounts, and Manual creation can also be done for asset classes. So we'll go through on your left hand side. There are a number of options you can see over here: start, then specifications, account selection, default accounts, account determination, number range intervals, screen layout rules, then asset classes, list of results. So these are the various steps which we need to complete so as to create the asset class, and also to create the account determination, screen layout, and the number ranges. So we'll be moving to this one by one. So there are overall 7 processing steps between the start option and the last complete option, which we need to go one by one, and we need to complete those so as to reach to the last step. Now moving on to the first step is specifications. So if we need to continue, we need to go and have to click over here to continue. We cannot double click on these and it will take you there. No, we need to go to the below part on this particular box, and you will find back, continue, and cancel. So we need to continue so as to proceed to the next step. So we can go and we can click on to over here to continue, and as I click on to continue, it took me to the next screen. Now the next screen, as you can see, you can find three symbols over here. Green means already processed, yellow means in progress, and red means pending. So we are right now in process, that is the current step, specification. So within specification, now you can find on the screen it asks you for the assignments. So in this step we need to fill the details as it been asked on the screen. So as per the assignment, we need to fill the chart of account. So enter the assignment fields. Chart of account 1000. So we can go and we can select with the F4 key where we get the chart of account options, and that we will be selecting 1000. So that is what your own chart of account been taken. Second, you need to take the chart of depreciation, that is 2000 as created, and the third is the account range from and to. So the account number range over here means the balance sheet account number range. So you need to select, and if you don't know, you can go and you can click onto the list, and it will give you the whole list of GL accounts. Enter. So we can find the GL account list, and with that we can decide which GL we need to take. So now we can find that. So suppose I take the asset class range from 1 to, again we can see the 2 range. Enter, and we can decide the 2 range over here as well on the other side. So suppose I take it to 101000. So suppose I take the asset range for creating the asset classes as per the GL account from and to range. So this is what you need to take, from and to range. So once you have selected the details, now we can go and we can click on to continue. So click on to continue, and it will show you in the next step. As we have moved from first, second to third step, now the second step has been completed. So in this you will find whatever the range we have given in the last step, all those GL account details have been taken up over here in the account selection. So in this you will see that the wizard has pre-populated all these balance sheet account detail which we have just have filled in the last step. And over here now we need to select the APC account checkbox to indicate an APC account, and then press continue to move to the next screen. So out of these, now what GL account you need against which you need to create the asset classes, we need to select that. So suppose I select I will not take too much, we'll take couple of them so as to have a better understanding, and later on you can try with multiple of them. So suppose I take over here vehicle and computers. So you can note down, for computer it is 100020, and for vehicle it is 100040. So these are the two I am just selecting, the rest I am leaving blank as it is. Now we can, as we have selected the balance sheet account whichever we need for the next step, so as to create the asset. So you can read over here on the screen as well that this wizard help you to create asset classes based on your GL accounts. So these are your GL account, and on the basis of this GL account your asset classes will be created. So now you can continue, click on to continue for the next step as clicked, and as I click to the next step, now it asks you for default accounts for all account determinations. So now in this step we will be filling the details, or will be providing the details with respect to the depreciation account number, then the revenue clearing account number, the loss, asset retirement loss, or you can say gain from retirement, that GL needs to be provided. So now to provide the GL account, in this case we can go and we can select the depreciation GL. So out of that you can go and we can select the depreciation GL over here on the screen. Okay, so we need to go down to search for depreciation GL. Let's search for it. So there is depreciation, so that is what we will be selecting it. Depreciation has been selected. So the depreciation account we have taken, now we'll be taking revenue clearing account. So for revenue clearing account there will be an asset clearing account must have been created. So that is what we will be selecting. Let's search for that as well. So you'll find a GL account clearing asset sale. That is the GL which we assign it to revenue clearing account. Whenever there is a sale of an asset being done, we select this clearing asset sale account. So that is what need to be selected over here. Then we need to select the asset retirement loss. So any kind of a losses to the asset due to sale or due to scrapping or due to any kind of a losses other than that will be taken up to this particular field. So we'll select a loss on sale of asset GL in this case. So let's search for that. So you'll find there is a loss on sale of asset that needs to be selected. So that's been taken. Similarly we'll go for a gain on retirement of asset GL, so that will also need to be selected. So let's see if we can. Okay, so the gain GL will be starting with 3, so that is what we need to take. Let's see the GL, revenue GL it is. So revenue GL starts with 3 as per in my system. In yours it could be something else. So let's see the GL account. So you can find profit on sale of fixed assets, that needs to be selected. So these are the different GL accounts which we have just selected as a default account for all the account determinations. So these are the GL which will be taken up for all these asset classes which we will be creating for gain, loss or sale or normal depreciation. So once we are done with this step, we can click on to continue so as to move to the next step. So moving on to the next step, click on continue and it will take you to the next step, that is account determination. So within this you can see, now we can read this text over here. The system proposed an account determination for each APC account with the same name as the account. Complete the account determination. enter the accumulated depreciation account for each determination. So what we need over here is, you can see the name of the asset has been reflected. This is reflects to the group of name as, and this is the GL account, the balance sheet asset GL account number. And on the first column you can find the account determination code. So this part you want, you can change. Suppose I change it to 80020, and I changed the vehicle part as 80040. So the account determination code is up to you what you want to give it to, but the name of the account needs to be taken. Name of the account determination needs to be defined here. You can change the account determination description, and the account or the APC refers to the GL account. So this GL account 100020 refers to the computer ledger account, and 40 refers to vehicle ledger account. Now moving to the next is your balance sheet account, accumulated account depreciation. So in this part you need to select your accumulated depreciation account for computer and respectively for vehicle. So suppose for computer it is GL, it is for computer it is let me take it. So now taking up for computer it is 100170, and for vehicle it is 100190. Enter. So as I will enter it, you can see that the sort text have been updated. Account depreciation, accumulated depreciation for computer, for vehicle. Similarly, what you need to do is, before going to this wizard for setting up all these steps, you need to define your GL accounts in the system. You need the asset GL account, then the depreciation account, loss on sale of asset, gain on sale of asset, then the asset clearing account, and accumulated depreciation account for the respective asset. These all ledger accounts, or you can say the GL account, you need to be defined in advance, because on the basis of these GL account only the asset classes are defined later on. So once we had defined these all things over here on the screen, we can now move to the next step, as we are done with this particular step. So we can go and we can click on to continue, so as to move to the next step now. So it took you to the next step now, and now the system will propose the number ranges for the APC accounts, and you can change these number range or indicate if you want external numbering by selecting the external checkbox. So as you can see, the GL account number is known as the APC account number, and here the number range is there. 0102 is the serial number, and the range is from and to has been defined to you over here on the screen. So if you want, you can change this number range from and to as per your convenience. Like suppose I need a bigger number. Instead of having a 5-digit number, I need a bigger number, so I can go back and I can make that changes to it. So suppose I make it as as to be, suppose I make it as a bigger number of around 3, it's 8-digit. So instead of having a 5-digit, now I'm making it 9-digit asset code. So the serial number, now the number range I am defining is a 9-digit. That means this particular number range which we are defining will be the number range of your assets, which we will be creating later on in the SAP system. So that's what you need to take care of that. So what it should be. Similarly, now I will be moving, and on the to side I will be taking now is 1000199999. So you can see now this is a 9-digit range. Similarly, you can define your range 2. Now you can have the same range, or you can create a separate range as well. So for creating a separate range, the serial number 02 is there, and you can change the serial you want. You can keep it as it is same. So it's up to you what you want. Suppose you change it to again 9 digit, and the starting digit will change so as to keep a uniformity for understanding instead of mixing all the ranges. So this is how I changed the number range from in two part. Now this is number range which we are defining is internal. The system will generate automatically for each and every assets which will be created later on as a asset master data. In case you don't want the system to raise the asset number internally, you can go for having an external number as well. So in that case you can select this checkbox, and in case you select this checkbox, the system will not generate the number internally, but it will ask you to give the number, and it's up to you whatever the number you wish to. You can have that, you can give that number as the asset code or asset number. But as a standard practice, we always recommend to have it an internal number range which will be universal, which will be in a sequential order, and it will keep a lot of things simple. So this is how you need to define the number range. As you can see, the system proposed a number range interval for each APC accounts. If necessary, change the number range interval. So what we did is we changed the number range as per our convenience. So similarly you would be doing this. Now moving up to the next step, as we have defined the number range intervals as on the screen, will be now moving to the next step. So click on to continue, and it took you to the next step now. So the next step coming up is screen layout rules. So over here now, the screen layout rule. Screen layout basically specifies the status of the fields in the asset master record. You use the screen layout to determine if fields are required entry or optional entry or suppressed, means hidden completely. The same thing as you would have done field status groups in the GL part. Similarly, the screen layout rules works for the asset masters. So in this step, you create only the keys and description of the screen layout controls. So you can see now there are different screen layout groups, as you can find over here on the description. So they are logical field groups, as you can see. 0001 refers to general data, 0002 refers to posting information, then 003 refers to time dependent data. So these are the different groups. So out of these groups, whichever field you feel that would be needed, you can select those fields over here on the screen. And in case you are not sure that either some of them will be used or not, so you can even select them so that you will have the option of using all those. So what I would be doing is I would be selecting all of these different field status groups within the screen layout rules, and later on, as per convenience, we can use those groups, the fields within those groups, as per our requirement. So this is how you need to do. You just don't have to do much. You just need to go and have to select all these screen layout fields from over here on the screen. And this is the layout. The layout will always be 1000. That is the standard layout. We will not be changing the layout 1002 with anything else. So system will always take this 1000 as a standard layout whenever you will be creating the screen layout by lean implementation part. So moving on now, either of these all the groups, even if you are not interested to take all of them, you must have to take care that you take these first three. These first three as are important ones which are needed. The first one is for general data, which consists of your description of the asset account, the quantity, and all those things, posting information, and the time dependent data. So now once we have taken this, we have selected all the groups as per the wish. If you feel it is not needed, you can leave that, like 0007 is a real estate, whereas our asset and vehicle is not a real estate, so you can skip that. Similarly, if you have any insurance cover on any of them, you can select that. Like for computers, I don't have any insurance cover, so I can take this off. But for vehicle, obviously I would be having it. Now there is no leasing part, so we can skip the leasing part as well. So similarly, you can decide your own groups, which is needed and which is not needed out of these. So now moving up to the next, that is all about the screen layout that you need to select. So over here we will be just selecting which of these will be needed. Later on you can go and you can decide which fields you want to have to be suppressed or optional or required as per your own requirement. So you can define those filled group rules for these screen layouts later on as per your convenience. So now moving up to the next is click on continue, so it will take you to the next step. And now the next step coming up is asset classes. So asset classes, as we already said, asset class has a very significant part. Asset class is the one which consists all these above: account determination, number, range, screen layouts, all those GL account, and all those things, because asset class basically is grouping of assets on certain characteristics. So as you can read the description over here, the system proposes an asset class for each APC account. So we had two APC account, 20 and 40, and against that the asset class has been reflected to you. If you want, you can change the asset class code which has been. In normal cases, whatever the APC account is, the same account is taken as the asset classes. But in case you wish, you can change it. Like I change it to 80020, and the vehicle one is 80040. Now moving to the next, here you need to define the type of assets. So you need to specify the type of asset classes, whether that asset will be an asset under construction or a low value asset, or what kind of an asset it will be. So we can go and we can see what kind of a different types it has. So click onto this, it will give you the list of different assets, as you can see over here on the screen. So what we need to take is, normally the first and the second one is taken always. Either of the first and the second is taken up. So in our case right now we would be taking 0, because we need asset class without AUC, without LVA, and without CLVA. LVA means low value asset, and CLVA refers to collective low value asset. So we will be taking asset classes without of these, so we'll be selecting 0. Similarly, we'll be taking the same for vehicle part. But in case you would be creating any asset class for asset under construction, in that case you need to select 1 for asset under construction, and in case you would be creating any low value asset class, then in that case you need to select 2 accordingly. Now moving to the next, here you can click on to enter, and you can find that description is also been reflected to you on the screen here. So that is what you can go to, been reflected. Now moving on to the next is depreciation key. So in case you have the depreciation key to be used, you can select it over here. You can put the use refers to the life of the asset. So if you remember, there are two depreciation areas basically used. One is 01, another is 15. So for depreciation area 01, the depreciation key and the life could be different, and the depreciation area for 15, that is tax related balance sheet details, the depreciation keys and the useful life could be different. So if you wish, you can put the depreciation keys and then the life for both of them over here on the screen. Like suppose I can go and I can select the depreciation keys. So if I click on, and we'll have the list of depreciation, as you can see. So for our case, I would be taking the depreciation keys over here. Suppose I take it as 10%, or let's take something, okay, take it 15%. So I take it as 15%, and the same I would be taking over here. And you can take the life as well. Suppose I take the life as 20 years, and similarly you can select the keys for the next part as well. So again, for this also I would be keeping it as of now the same, and we'll be putting the depreciation keys as to be same. So similarly you can, so what it does is, if you know that the group of asset or the asset class has got the same depreciation keys, in that case you can define those depreciation keys over here on the screen. And but in case that particular class has got different depreciation keys within the class, in that case you can leave this particular depreciation key and the useful life blank. So both will work. So if you wish, you can select it over here. If you want, you can leave it blank as well. So it is an optional part. It's up to you whether you want to take it or not. Like suppose for the first one I take it, and for the second one I leave it as blank. So you can have both the options. Now moving further, this is it. So we have taken up all the details which are related to the asset class over here onto it, and now we are done with this. So we can move to the next step. So select on continue, and as I click on to continue, it takes you to the next screen now. So now you can find that all these steps have been completed, and it shows you the result, the list of results for all the steps which we have covered above, and it gives you all the details with respect to that. So now the wizard brings up the list of asset classes together with the required control parameters that will be generated once we confirm the proposal. So you can see now the basically the GL account number is this, and then this is your account determination which decides the GL account, then the description of the account determination, again the balance sheet account number for asset, then the accumulated depreciation account, the value over here. Now moving further, you will find the ordinary depreciation GL number, then the revenue means basically the revenue sale clearing asset account, and then loss on sale of asset, gain on sale of asset. Moving further, you will find the number ranges. The serial number is 1 and 2, and this is the serial document number range which we have created. Asset number range basically from and to, which we had created, and then the screen layout we defined as 1000, and the screen layout description. Now moving further, these are the screen layout which we selected, 1 to 13 out of that. Then this is your asset class 80020. The asset class description is there, customer computers and vehicles. And then moving to further, it shows you the depreciation key for computer. For vehicle it is blank as we did, So that is all about the steps which we have covered earlier has been summarized to you so as to cross verify that everything is okay. And in case you find everything is okay, we can further move on to continue. And as we will click on to continue, it will create all those things in the SAP system. So you have entered all the necessary data for generation of asset classes. In the next step, the system create the asset classes on the database. So now as we click on complete, the system will create all those details which we have just covered in the previous 7 steps. So as we press complete to save the settings, the system will create these all things in the SAP system. So now click on to complete, and it says, do you really want to generate the objects? So as you click on yes, the system will generate these objects. That basically means that this completes the automatic creation of asset classes in the SAP system. So click on yes, and now you will find that do you want to generate the objects? Click on generate. Okay, click on no, and now you can see that it's been processed and it will be saved to the request. Continue. So you can see now the number range interval are not transported because the number ranges are always created while moving to the next client. So the number range will be defined there, but rest of the objects has been created successfully. So you can see now the message is generated, the objects are created successfully now. Click on to continue, and these are the details which we have filled and which has been successfully been completed, as you can verify it on the screen. So this is what created now. You can move further and you can check all these details which we have filled in. So this is how you would be creating your asset class and all these details by putting up all these details which will create your asset classes in the SAP system. So this is the shortest way out of creating all these details with the help of lean implementation. But the same thing can be created on regular implementation part, which does take a more lengthier steps to cover because it has got number of more things to be taken up. So the lean implementation, which covers the minimum steps, so that is it. Now moving back, so we have covered with the generate asset classes from GL account 1 to 1. Now moving to the next, so the further steps now we will be moving up with that in the next training session. Till now we have covered till generate asset classes from GL account, and till over here you can go through, you can do your practices, you can create your own chart of depreciation, your own settings as we have done, and then we'll be moving up with the further steps in the next training session. We'll see you then. Till then, take care. Thank you. Have a nice day.